froze again. I'm sorry, guys.
Sorry. Hey ballers, welcome to If These Balls Could Talk, where we talk about the latest in sports, tech, and pop culture. This is Mark, along with John and Pete and little Liam, if you can see him in the down there as well. As a kind reminder, if you like what you hear or see, please hit that subscribe button, or as Pete likes to say, tickle that bell. Tonight, we welcome back to the podcast, Mr. Erik Guhl. Good evening, Monkey Man.
Hello. Good to be back, guys. Thank you for having me again.
First time on the live show, Erik. Welcome.
First time on the live show.
It's a party. I had to guess on the sound this time, so that was fun.
All right, let's do the rounds. John, how you been?
I am great. I have my IT shirt on. Thursday's turned into my work from home day. So I got Jamie. We got ice cream. Jamie got a role in her first school play ever. She's going to play Jane in Mary Poppins Jr., which is incredibly exciting. It's the role she wanted.
Ooh,
yes,
that's a big role.
Jane Banks. Very good, very good. So she looked through. 11 is so interesting. She spent the whole night tonight just like marking up her script book, being like putting her songs and kind of looking through it and getting kind of. She really liked to make it pretty, so once it's pretty now, we can start learning it. So we'll see how that works.
That's so cool. Congratulations to her.
She told you guys yesterday, right?
Awesome.
Yeah,
Nice.
but I mean, I'm saying it.
Does she have to speak with a British accent?
I told her to only try if she's sure she can do it the whole time, and I was like, it's probably a mistake. So you probably shouldn't.
I think everyone else has to do it too.
Right, everyone else has to do it too. So probably
if she's the only little girl with a British accent, it's gonna look weird.
I mean, 1910, man, that's a tough time for 8-year-old girls.
Yeah.
How are you, Mark?
I'm doing great. Life's pretty busy as per usual. Just before the show, I had a craving for tiramisu, so of course I went down to the place down the street from me, and they surprised me by having an Oreo tiramisu.
What?
Oh my god! It combined my two favorite desserts, like cookies and cream, ice cream, and tiramisu. It was the best thing
I've ever
had in my entire life. That is not an exaggeration.
I will not tell your
sounds
grandma
amazing.
Oreo tiramisu. That's a travesty.
Oh, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
A travesty.
I did post on my Instagram. I'll actually probably put it on the show's.
Hell yeah,
Insta
you
too,
should.
because it was so good. I'm gonna have dreams about that dessert for a while.
Show code, bro. Everything goes on the Instagram.
Yeah, I know. Pete, how we doing? And how's little Liam?
Liam, how are you doing?
He's getting big,
okay.
Pete.
He
I haven't seen him in like a
he's
week, and he's
chunky.
a little chunk monster.
He's very much a little chunk monster, and he's starting to outgrow all of his clothes, and he no longer fits in places. He's rapidly growing.
Rapidly growing.
good thing.
And saying more stuff.
We can make him better.
I think he can do all the vowel sounds now, and he almost said alcohol. He was like, alcohol?
I am sure that's exactly what he was doing, Pete. There is no doubt in my mind.
I was trying to do tummy time with him earlier today. This is what's new with me, guys. Now, sorry, this is my life.
I remember.
And he goes, I swear to God, he said, I can't. And I'm like, no, you can, buddy. And I'm like, I'm talking to an infant, like in a conversation. Like, what's happening?
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Ay.
You're going to do some wacky shit over the next 2 years, and I'm really excited for it.
I am sure.
All right, so with Erik being a returning guest, we will continue with our newest segment, Ball in the Corner Pocket. All right, so this week's topic, we're going to revolve around streaming networks. Now, streaming networks used to be few and far between. No, it's not. You had the Netflix and the Hulu and some TV networks dipping their toes in the digital waters. Now you could argue that we've reached peak saturation, because seemingly everyone has their own streaming network now. In today's world, streaming companies are seeing dramatically slower growth and increasing competition, thus creating an unsustainable content war. So as prices of all these services rise and the content itself becomes, in John's opinion, bad as cable TV. See, I kept that in, John.
It's good. It was funny.
Is the age of streaming on the downturn, and where is all the good content, or where are we watching content right now?
And Eric starts because it's his question.
So I think we kind of have reached our peak.
Yeah.
I think you might see a few more services trickle in at this point, but nothing really that's going to blow anyone's socks off. I think eventually we are going to start to, I mean, we already see it with Disney, Hulu basically becoming one thing. We're going to see them start merging down.
That was wacky. And I was like, why is the bear on Disney Plus? I was like, this is weird. I feel weird. I can either watch The Bear or Mary Poppins. I don't know.
Yeah. And no, I think definitely it's going to consolidate down. I've been watching a lot of foreign shows.
What kind of foreign shows?
A lot of French and a lot of Turkish shows.
Are you doing?
I know you know French, but do you know? Do you know? Can you? What is it? Turkish? Is that what they speak in Turkey? The language?
Yeah. So Turkish, the language I don't know much, but because the Ottoman Empire had a long-standing like besties relationship with Russia and Germany, they actually have a lot of German loanwords. So every once in a while, like I watch with the subtitles on, but every once in a while, I'm like that was a German word.
Do you, Eric? Do you VPN your Netflix? Not like you would do that actually, like in real life, but like, have you?
Yeah, who does
thought
that?
about using a VPN on your Netflix to get extra shows or different types of programming?
I, in theory, may have done this in possibility.
And we're not suggesting finding something like maybe NordVPN to the listeners. That's a pretty good service to possibly test doing this. But
if these balls could talk, it's definitely not condoning using NordVPN for
no, not a sponsor.
It does work, and it is cool. And apparently, there's a lot of different stuff on Canadian Netflix. That's what I've heard from our Canadian friends.
Interesting.
Do like Australian or New Zealand too, because a lot of the streaming services in North America don't exist elsewhere in the world, so Netflix ends up buying the rights to a lot of these shows and putting them on internationally. But in North America, as far as we're concerned.
So researching this topic was really interesting. What I saw, which actually surprised me, is even though streaming in general is down, Netflix Q4 this past year got 13 million new subscribers, which is a record for them.
Yeah, so I think one of the things they're doing is because they're focusing on international content, not just selling North American content internationally, actually funding all these new shows from France, from Turkey. One of the shows I watch, Lupin, is on Netflix. French show, heist show, spectacularly done, great production value, amazing cast.
Lupin is very good.
Mm-hmm.
And Money Heist. Have you guys watched Money Heist? Which is a Spanish language show, I think.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Can I tell you though? There also in the streaming world, two big things have actually come out very, very recently, and one of them, this is going to be groundbreaking news. Potentially, may force me to get a Netflix subscription. So WWE is going to be on Netflix starting next year.
I saw.
Oh, snap.
Which is weird because it was on Peacock, and so that's
content.
why I had Peacock for a while. For now.
Oh yeah.
No.
That's right.
So Peacock is still going to have the pay-per-view events, I believe, or the live stream events. That's what they call it now. I believe it's just Raw that's going to Netflix.
Really?
Like a subset.
But also some original Netflix, like WWE, like so maybe they'll bring like some of their NXT type stuff.
That's pretty cool.
And reality.
So I may get a Netflix subscription. The other big news in the streaming world, is that Paramount and Warner Brothers are in talks of merging.
We talked about this last week. No, the week before.
We did. But just kind of a recap, though. I mean, think of the repercussions of streaming for that. I mean, that's two big streamers right there, right?
Well, yeah, and Verizon has deals, package deals with Max now. And what's it face? Somebody else was talking about deals. Spectrum has deals with Disney. So, I mean, everybody is realizing that they need to team up. And I think really what it comes down to is it's very expensive to run a streaming platform. We said on the show that we just mentioned, I mean, Peacock was happy with the $2 billion loss, but that seems wild to me that they were happy with the $2 billion loss on year one.
Well, I'm sure they're making measures to put that in the black.
I mean,
there's for tax reasons you can,
sure.
you can do that.
I mean, there was a whole season of the morning show about how streaming was failing for Peacock, for NBC. I mean, like, that's what they talked about on the show. So, like, a real, very meta, Ouroboros, like, they're eating their own tail because content has to be good, but good content is expensive. And so the more good content you make, how do you make your money back with a monthly price? And we're seeing that they're not they're not making their money back. And so the price just keeps going up. Up. So we'll see what happens. And I
wouldn't be surprised if ads, they need to get more ad revenue, obviously. That's essentially probably where the money
want to know what's wild,
or they just start selling everyone's data.
We got to stop now. But what's really wild is we're rewatching Chuck. Back in the day, Chuck on Max with Jamie. We said that, and Chuck was just a big ad. They did car ads on Chuck. They did Subway ads on Chuck. I mean, are we just Toyota ads? Are we headed that way where everything is just a product placement ad show?
He didn't want it on air anymore, so it kind of had to pay for itself.
This was early. They literally just ate a Subway sandwich, season 1. Did we just lose Pete? What just happened?
That wasn't just for first season. They did that like all seasons.
Oh, yeah, we lost Pete.
BC did not love Chuck.
You guys, why don't you say Pete's question, Mark? Because Pete's gone, and I need to resort the thingers.
He's back.
I'm back.
Do you want to try doing your question, Pete?
I restarted Discord.
Pete, so when you restart things, the camera gets all fucky. You made me nervous. You made me nervous. All the pictures went fucky. I was like, I have to fix that now.
Oh, no. I knew it was a temporary thing. As soon as I come back, it should reconfigure itself.
It did, by the way.
Okay.
You're fine. Oh, we're out of time.
Right, let me get this in.
Say your question.
Let me get this in quickly before I freeze again. Jeez. I don't know what's going on. So I have no segue because I was frozen, so pardon me.
It's okay.
Consistent content is a challenge for most social media marketers, us included. Alongside the quality of content by brands, whether you create it yourself or share it from another source, audiences are, we're really getting bombarded with stuff. And at the same time, we're expecting more and more visually compelling and original content. So the problem is when many of these things are shared across your feed by many similar sources, you get 80,000 of the same meme of Jason Kelsey's naked chest on your, your news feed. So is the bombardment of news across our social media feeds a problem? And even more importantly, is it desensitizing us to our overall news and media intake? Are we missing things that are actually important? Remember when we'd watch this is ABC News with Peter Jennings, and it was
I don't know how they do broadcast news anymore.
We're definitely getting stuck in an echo chamber. And it's a self-repeating and self-amplifying echo chamber, too. So it's not just we're getting bombarded with the same thing over and over again. We're getting bombarded the first time. And then in some way it's bigger and better, but it's still the same thing. And it keeps happening again and again. And, if you think you were bombarded with Jason Kelsey's naked chest, try living in the Philadelphia area.
I saw that man's nipples so many times this week. So many times. Oh my God. He was naked on everything. Yeah, Pete's gone again.
And isn't it amazing though, the fact that like, so you have the world's biggest pop star in attendance at the game, but who was everyone talking about? Jason Kelsey.
Now I have a question though. What do you think about that? I mean, we've all been that drunk, right? You've been Jason Kelsey drunk at one point or another in your life. But I guess the question is,
Never.
I mean, the parents of these two little girls are incredibly excited that this big giant naked celebrity picked up their children. But I was like, I don't know if I would be as happy as they were.
I think they were happy. Well, I mean, not just because it was Jason Kelsey, but also because Jason Kelsey was basically Lion Kinging them to Taylor Swift.
I mean, yes, right. And I have to not be one of those people who were like super down on like, that was very joyful, incredibly joyful. But like, I could look at that man and see how drunk he was also. So I'm just like torn. I don't know.
If you think he was drunk at that one, you should see the one, not only the Eagles Super Bowl parade, also when he literally showed up for the Mummers Day parade as a mummer. And
those fucking guys. I completely have fallen into a New Heights rabbit hole, by the way. That show is great. And
that show is pretty good.
Funny together. Their socials are great. I mean, I think that the Jason Kelsey, Travis Kelsey story is really interesting, and if you don't know it, you should look into it. But their life together is incredibly interesting, and I really like listening to them. So like I know Jason Kelsey, like I've met those guys before. Those guys that are like that you know, they smell like campfires. Like you think Jason Kelsey smells like a campfire, right? He probably does. But like, it's just super cool that they're so normal and so down to earth, and that was just the most normal thing that a major celebrity, like he's a big sports figure, could do. The most normal thing. Anyway, we got distracted.
That's okay.
Anyway, I mean, we can
go. Yeah, well, all right. I don't know.
Sorry that I'm
going back to the whole Jason Kelsey Lion Kinging those kids to meet Taylor Swift. I mean, let's be honest, I would allow drunk Jason Kelsey to do that to me as well, and he could, because you know I definitely don't weigh as much, or Jason Kelsey could definitely lift me over his head because he's just a big strong man.
He lifts smaller football players above his head.
So McAfee was impressed, like really impressed with how nimble a 280-pound drunk man was getting in and out of that window. Like I couldn't do that. I mean, I'm not strong, but like
380.
No fear.
I mean, he's not
no fear.
I don't think he's.
Well, no, okay,
but
he's over 300 though.
I mean, but like how nimble and how strong he was. Like it was like
NFL centers,
like a 7-foot window.
Man.
Usually, but he can move. Jason Kelsey pulls like a guard.
I'm looking it up. 282. It's like I looked it up before.
Damn.
Good job, research.
According to Google, which is the only thing that I do.
Yeah, the internet is never wrong.
The internet is never wrong. All right, let's move on. And to wrap it all up, so I have this problem all the time with so many streaming services available. It can kind of be difficult to find something to watch. So as of May 2023, the percentage of US TV homes with cable has fallen actually under 50% now to 46.4%, down 12% from last year. And according to a Nielsen survey from June of last year, audiences now spend an average of 10.5 minutes searching for something to watch. And so how effective are service algorithms in suggesting content? Do they help users find good content, or do they simply reinforce existing biases?
I definitely think they reinforce existing biases, because I'm always trying to find something new. So one, I'm definitely bringing up that 10-minute average in terms of the search time. But yeah, I definitely struggle, and if I just go by the, hey, you watch this, you might like this, and there are times that I'm like, well, there are times that I'm even like, well, how is that even related?
Shut up, robots! You don't know me.
And there are times that like, okay, I see how it's related, but it's still not in my wheelhouse of other stuff that I've watched before.
There's actually a number of really good lists that you can look up, and I find this all the time because I tell you guys all the time. I'm watching. I said this in Mel tonight. I'm watching 5 things at a time generally, which is a lot. I totally don't have ADHD, right?
Of course not.
Of course not. But if you just look at some of the things, my Netflix is a actual literal different color than Melanie's. You look up her profile and it's all rom-coms and kind of girl movies and reality shows, and mine is all murder stuff and heist stuff and thriller stuff, and it's just literally a different color. It's pink and black, and it makes it hard because I also have noticed that Netflix likes to hide things it doesn't want to succeed. So you have to literally look for some shows, and it's the same problem I have with the news media right now. What happens when we're just getting served everything? We're getting served everything in our whole life. I mean, it really makes you wonder, especially in the dawn of the AI age, what even is real, right?
It's the sad part when a random little independent YouTube news person or a Reddit thread is more the truth than some of the stuff that you're seeing from national sources, right? It's
Pete's gone.
That's right, Frozen Pete. You can definitely, there's definitely a lot. I mean, it's not only our bias, right? It's whatever the source's bias is as well. So it definitely can happen. Now, me personally, I don't take that long to find what I want to watch. I don't know. I kind of have my own set schedule now of shows I like watching, but it will take me a while to find a movie. Now there are some general themes that I'll watch with movies. I mean, you got the comic book movies. I got rom-coms too. I wouldn't be surprised if I had Netflix that my feed would be a lot like yours and Melanie's combined.
That's amazing.
But a lot of times it's stuff that you've seen over and over again, and you don't necessarily want to see more of it or something like it. So it just takes me a while. Especially usually just a movie though. If I'm in the mood to watch a movie, and I was I don't really know what I want to watch, and I think I've actually, there was one time I spent an hour looking for a movie.
Well, what's really interesting now too is that everything worth watching on Max is on Netflix. Everything.
I wouldn't know that.
I literally was just oh shit, Aquaman's on Netflix. Weird. And again, we're back to the Discovery CEO, I forget his fucking name, but just not wanting to run a streaming network. He's it's expensive and I don't want to do it.
Yeah. And definitely my struggle for searching for shows. If I know that a big prestige show, when Echo came out, I knew right away that I was gonna watch Echo, and did it in a day and a half. But when I'm kind of in between those type of big releases in terms of shows, and I'm just I want something to pass the time, I struggle. Now, once I land on something, if I really like it, then I just go right back to it, go to the next episode, and then I have the problem of, well, I just binged through that. Now what do I do? I just did all 2 seasons of Welcome to Wrexham.
That fucking show.
In a week.
Nice.
Wow.
I need to watch that one.
Also made me realize that my seasonal affective disorder was hitting really hard. It's just why am I weeping for a football show? Openly weeping.
What a great finale, right? You build this show into a season 2 where they win their division in the end of it. You're just fucking awesome.
Spoiler alert.
I mean, we know that because it's real life. Everybody knows that. Bye, Pete. Hope he comes back. Sad Pete. Mark, you're in the wrong hole now. We're just going to deal with it. I'm not fixing it. He's going to come back again.
We're just going to deal with it.
We're just going to deal with it.
We're just going to deal with it.
You guys, Mark's in 2 places at once.
Are we ready to kick off this shindig?
Hell yeah.
Let's do it.
So we got a first topic. So this weekend is arguably the one with the most competitive NFL games of the year. After last week's games, the 49ers barely fought off the Packers. The Lions continued to be the bells of the ball after beating the JV team known as the Bucks. That's a lot of alliteration there that I did not intentionally do. The Chiefs eked by the Bills after a last-second missed field goal, which we'll probably talk about a little later. And the Ravens spanked the Texans with Lamar Jackson doing Lamar Jackson things. So everyone, do we feel like the Ravens and 49ers are destined for the Super Bowl after the NFL divisional round, or are we going to get surprised?
I mean, I don't think the Lions winning is a surprise. I think the Lions, right? We talk about it all the time. The Niners barely won, and the Lions keep winning impressively, honestly. Mm-hmm. And the Lions have the added fact that they have the whole of Michigan behind them. Like, everyone.
Oh, it's more than Michigan.
I mean, it's more than Michigan. Right. You've seen those memes where they don't want, the whole country wants the Lions to win. I want the Lions to win. I mean, the Lions are a cool story. Eminem talking to Matt Stafford last week and being like, hey, man, seriously, I rapped for you. You just got to let them win because they got to win. It was awesome. It's an awesome story. They're a cool team. They're so young. They're so exciting. I mean, I think that the Lions have a really good shot. Honestly, our discussions last week about DraftKings, I got a DraftKings. I re-upped my DraftKings account, and I bet on the Lions. I bet on the Lions and the Ravens this weekend.
I think the Lions have a really good shot, and I think what we're learning is the NFC North was a lot better than we realized.
Yeah.
How well the Packers did as just a youngest team in the playoffs to get a win, and
I think the Lions are the second youngest.
Yeah, and so I would not be surprised to see. I do kind of feel like the Ravens are preordained.
Hey guys, Craig's going to join the podcast while Pete's not here. Okay.
On the AFC side, but I would not be surprised to see them.
So, all right. I've been a Lions fan ever since Barry Sanders was on the Lions. Barry Sanders, to me, is the all-time greatest running back. I know there's a lot of people that would say Walter Payton, Jim Brown.
Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders is my number one running back of all time.
Yes.
I'm still mad to this very day at Bobby Ross because I think Bobby Ross was the one that forced Barry Sanders to retire because he was a grumpy old man and Barry Sanders didn't like him. So Barry's like, oh, fuck it. I'm taking my ball and leave. However, I have a giant hatred for Jared Goff. I do not like Jared. All right. As a quarterback, I don't know him personally. He's probably a good person. He's just a god-awful quarterback, okay? The Patriots, they showed his true colors back in 2019. It's because the Rams only scored 3 points that Super Bowl, that dreadful 10-3 Super Bowl. Listen, a good defense is going to stifle Jared Goff. The Niners have a good defense, but they don't have a very good secondary. I think the Packers were not a very good matchup for the Niners. I think that's why the Niners struggled with them. That and apparently Purdy does not like wet balls. But who does? So I think it was a bad matchup for the Niners. I think the Lions will give them a fight. But I think Jared Goff is going to do Jared Goff things, and all of a sudden he's probably going to throw like 3 interceptions against the Niners. So I think the Niners are going to do it, and the Ravens are just a team of destiny right now.
I mean, nobody's beating the Ravens.
I don't think. Yeah, I think.
Hard stop.
I don't think anyone can beat the Ravens.
Nobody's beating the Ravens. The Ravens, and all year the Ravens have been like this. There's no way to effectively guard the Ravens. Because
I know, and they're beating all the best teams by double digits.
Because,
too.
If you don't guard the line, the Ravens beat you. Even though their running back is Gus Edwards, Lamar Jackson's there. And if you guard the pass, all of these young receivers are incredible. Isaiah Likely's incredible. They're all so good. Imagine if Mark Andrews was playing this season. How good they'd be. It's crazy to think how good the Ravens are playing right now. I would really like a Ravens-Lions Super Bowl because I think the Lions are really exciting. I mean, I think that
Could be a god awful Super Bowl.
Shut your face. I think of all the
It'd be like 50-3.
I think of all this. I don't think so. I think of all the skill players that are playing in the playoffs. I think Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown are really on the top. I think honestly, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is probably the most interesting wide receiver this season.
Yeah,
because like great catches and really intelligent play and like very good route running. Like he does a little bit of everything. But the Niners are very good. I was surprised that they barely beat the Packers, honestly. I mean, the Packers always
had a DraftKings account, I would have picked I think the Niners were favored by like 10.5. I would definitely pick the Packers for that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Packers always beat the Cowboys. The Packers are supposed to beat the Cowboys every season. That's their destiny. But I mean, they played the Niners tight, and I'm sorry, I am still not convinced about Brock Purdy. I'm not convinced.
No, he's definitely not a Hall of Fame quarterback. He definitely makes some bonehead decisions. He's a system quarterback. That's what he is.
You know what I am convinced about though? George Kittle. George Kittle is the coolest guy in the NFL.
There needs to be a podcast with George Kittle and Jason Kelsey and Travis Kelsey, I think.
There does. He needs to be like, hey, listen, man, I'm super cool and I live in San Francisco and look at my hair and my wife's super cool. They apparently, George Kittle and his wife, they met in college and she was on the basketball team.
Oh.
I learned that today from social media. All right.
Shabby on social media.
Time. You want to do a next topic?
I just realized the soundboard's not open.
Oh my god, what the fuck, man? Do a soundboard now that you've gotten it open. It's time for the next topic, okay? Ah, fuck, Pete's back. Pete, you're back. I gotta get rid of Craig. Craig had a lot of really interesting shit to say.
Did he?
He did.
No.
He really did.
Craig's an asshole.
Shit, I left the thing open. Hey, everybody who's listening, I'm sorry. I'm being a terrible producer today, but I'm drinking a lot of...
No, it's not your fault.
Bourbon really
I'm being
fast.
I'm being a terrible not producer today.
A terrible co-host. You're doing fine, but you rebooted your router now because your IT guy said to, so that might help.
I did. I rebooted my computer. We'll see.
I'm doing awesome as normal.
I mean,
Eric, you're doing a phenomenal job too, by the way.
Yes, thank you, Eric. You're carrying the show.
I'm trying here, guys.
Continue to carry the podcast, Eric. This is what we ask of you. Now, I just honestly, Pete, I hope that Craig is great, and I have an incredible amount of faith in Craig, but I hope Craig figures your shit out, man.
I hope so, too, because otherwise...
That's fine. All right, so
Pete, you came back at a great time.
Listen, bro, I'm going to ask your question now that you're back before your internet gets fucked up. So, first, Pete, I want to offer my condolences, but we have to talk about it. After a rocky season of ups and downs, the Bills ended the season with an impressive 5-game winning streak and breezed through the first round of the playoffs. Sorry, Eric.
Sorry about that.
It was the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career that he had to travel for a playoff game, and unfortunately, the result was still the same. So after a 5th straight playoff defeat, in the prime years of the best player the Bills have had this century, what needs to change in Buffalo? And more importantly, can the Bills win when all decisions go through their head coach and not their Hall of Fame quarterback?
Go ahead.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just numb to it at this point.
It's like the Cowboys all over again, man. You went from one shitty thing to another shitty thing.
Yeah, I'm leaving. That's what's going on. But we're
John, you're implying that Josh Allen should be doing the play call as opposed to the head coach?
I'm implying that, and I am implying that Josh Allen, who should be in charge of a lot of decision making in Buffalo, the play that he did this year, should go into the GM's office and the head coach's office, and he should literally just put his dick on the table and say, listen, guys, we need to get the fuck up, and we need to really figure our shit out, because I'm not going to be able to do this forever. Right?
Okay, so I definitely, share that sentiment, but thinking about this logically a little bit, Sean, while definitely not in the upper, I would say he's not in the upper tier of coaches. I'd say he's fine, right? He's like your average starting quarterback. Like he's good enough to be there. He has a good enough roster. He has Josh Allen, so he's not going anywhere. He's good enough to not get fired. So we're stuck with Sean.
Maybe he should be, because he's not fucking Andy Reid. Andy Reid beats him every goddamn year.
I know. I mean, if they have a good offensive coordinator, and this is where I'm hopeful that we have Joe Brady as the OC, who we know has been brilliantly minded with offensive stuff with LSU back in the day. And part of the reason, I'd say two reasons that he can't do what he, recreate that magic that he did as a college coordinator then. One is he took over more than halfway through the season, for one. And even Josh Allen, frankly, said too that like they didn't have Joe Brady's offense installed. Joe Brady was picking and choosing of the pieces that were left from Ken Dorsey and trying to make it work. He basically cobbled together a working offense from just a couple things that he thought were okay from the old offensive scheme that was already installed. So that's reason number one. Reason number two, they need fucking receivers. Sorry,
Yeah,
Gabe Davis.
they do.
Mic drop after that.
Yeah, that's it.
They
All right,
do.
that's it.
Did you guys see the video of a big group of Buffalo fans heckling Gabe Davis, and he lost his temper and he like started cursing at them all?
I heard something about that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it sucks that like Gabe was hurt, right? I'm sure he would have helped them. The problem is he doesn't help enough and not consistently enough. He's an awesome, like, stretch the field, bring him out once in a while, WR4, when everybody else is covered.
Yeah, I think that's why he loved being in Ken Dorsey's offense, right? Because essentially Ken Dorsey just kept calling for verticals, and Davis was like, "I'm on it."
Well, can we talk while Pete's frozen? Can we talk about how Andy Reid saw literally, like he was looking at McDermott's playbook, that fake punt to Damar Hamlin at the end of that game?
That's a great question.
I mean, he didn't even bring out the receiving team. He knew they were going to call it. He knew where it was going to go. Like, he knew the whole play. It was a worthless fake punt.
I mean,
you might as well have just punted
at
it.
Tendencies from the Bills, so I don't know if he just knew because McDermott would just do it. And then why would McDermott still go through with the play after seeing that too?
Right, and that's what even the announcers are like. The defensive scheme has adjusted. They know there's a fake punt coming, and McDermott just does it anyway. And so, like, I'm postulating by this question that McDermott is the problem, I think, honestly. And Pete said it. He's a perfectly good regular season quarterback. And honestly, if the Bills and Buffalo coach, if the Bills and Buffalo are happy with the divisional round, they'll win the divisional every year until Josh Allen retires. They will.
When you have a quarterback the talent of Josh Allen, you shouldn't be happy with just the divisional round.
Yeah, you shouldn't be. They're not going to get a better quarterback in a long time. That man is a monster.
Well, I think the Ravens have kind of shown what you need. You need the talent around your really good quarterback, right? Because this is the first year Lamar Jackson has been Lamar Jackson because he actually has weapons to throw to now.
So many.
I mean, Zay Flowers is phenomenal, and yeah, like Isaiah Likely has been a good tight end for him in replacing Mark Andrews. I mean, before it was essentially just Mark Andrews that he could throw to. OBJ has made contributions as well.
Yeah, they're really, really fun to watch, and Pete's right, and Pete's been saying it all season. Hey, Pete, welcome back.
Hey, yeah, sorry guys.
That's all right, man.
Didn't fix the problem.
We'll figure it out. We
buffaloed without you, Pete.
We buffaloed a little bit.
That's fine.
I brought up the fact that McDermott just got out coached with that fake punt to Damar Hamlin that everybody saw coming. Even I saw coming.
I was surprised they did it because, not that it was like, oh, you fooled me, but because why the fuck were you doing that?
They didn't fool anybody. Nobody was fooled.
They didn't
Okay.
fool anybody.
If it's 4th down and 3, why are you leaving the fate of the universe in Damar Hamlin's hands, who's a 4th string defensive safety? It's incredible that he's on the field, for one. Okay, all of that aside, of all the stuff that he went through last year and overcame, which was amazing. Why is he getting the ball to carry it like a running back on a fake punt in the middle of the most important game of your season.
Right. Literally, the game's on the line.
Why is Josh Allen not just bulldozing ahead for that?
Right. Right.
Like,
exactly.
I don't
right.
understand
like,
this.
do the fucking the what did you call it last week? The
snowplow.
Do the fucking snowplow.
No, the bobsled. The bobsled.
The bobsled.
Do the bobsled. Just do the damn bobsled. So to end this topic, I just want to say that while Josh Allen is wasting his golden years, I think he's a really stand-up guy. There was a number of videos that he made sure that he waited in the exit for Tyler Bass, and he gave him a hug before he left. I think that the treatment of Tyler Bass this week is completely unfair. Apparently, there's a cat charity that he kind of donates to, that a bunch of Chiefs fans donated to, and he got a bunch of death threats on, which is wildly uncool. But like, I think that Josh Allen is a real serious leader. I mean, he's what Buffalo needs. We just got to put all the other pieces there.
Pete, before we go, did you get Scott Norwood flashbacks with that?
Fuck, man, I'm so sorry.
No, because if it was for the win and there was like 1 second left,
still wide right.
I would have. Yeah, but it did. No, them deciding to kick there lost them the game already. They would have made it. Mahomes would have marched right down the field and scored, kicked a field goal to take the lead.
I mean, he would have
done it.
He's Patrick
by
Mahomes.
leaving 1 second left on the clock.
Yeah, he definitely would have.
Right, and they would have taken exactly, what was it, 144 left in the clock when they kicked it? They would have taken 143 to do it, because that's how good and how just amazing and magical they are, apparently.
Well, that's how good Andy Reid is. And Patrick Mahomes. I mean, the rest of the team.
And Mahomes, right.
The rest of the team is just fine.
Sure.
I mean, Mahomes ended the season QB8. I mean, he didn't even end QB5. He ended QB8.
But what pisses me off is they struggled all season. They had a terrible offense all season. They were below average. Until that fucking game.
Andy Reid always saves stuff for the playoffs.
But their first game, though, I don't even think they really did much. They still kind of struggled against Miami. Granted, it was -6 degrees out in Miami, froze. And that's why they won that. But, like, of course, their perfect offensive game, the best one they do all season, they save for Buffalo. Yep. Because, of course. It's just one year.
I'm going to piss you off.
Baltimore's going to kick their ass.
One year where it just works out.
I'm going to piss you off a little more, and I forget his name, but I just read it today. The NFL has assigned the referees for this weekend's game, and the referee they assigned for the Baltimore game is a notoriously anti-home referee, because even though the NFL isn't scripted, it's a little scripted, and they really want a Taylor versus Eminem Super Bowl. They really do. How great would that be? So marketable.
I hope they lose a shit ton of ratings because everyone's sick of the Chiefs at this point.
So
nothing against their organization. They're amazing. It's just, it's getting boring.
Yeah. Same fucking team every year. I don't need that. Right. Honestly, I had talked to some random person at work about
Super Bowl?
this.
He's never been?
I would have loved a Texans-Lions Super Bowl. How great would that would have been? Texans-Lions.
I would have preferred Bills-Lions, but...
Bills Lions would have been cool too. Like all these two like salt of the earth,
guaranteed first time winner,
down home cities like coming together, like first time winner, like cool story.
Guaranteed you'd have a first time winner. Anyway. But I mean, hey, Baltimore. It's been a while for them. This would be Lamar's first, so I'm rooting for Baltimore all the way. Baltimore versus Lions. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go, and we're done.
Yeah.
There's a possibility of the Harbaughs having a stronghold on football championships this year. Pete, you got next topic?
There.
Next topic.
So with Eric on the program, he's probably going to be the one with the best frame of reference with this next topic, being a Steelers fan. In the past few weeks, we've seen iconic coaches Bill Belichick, Nick Saban, and Pete Carroll part ways with the organizations that will ultimately define their coaching careers, whether that decision was made on their own or not. And this happens in more than just the sports world, with Steve Jobs at Apple, Bill Gates at Microsoft, and myself with the greatest softball team of all time in the Albany Awesomes.
Albany Awesomes forever!
The Steelers own the patented mold on how to replace Hall of Fame coaches, having only 3 head coaches in their illustrious career. Amazing. 3 head coaches. So everyone, but primarily Eric, how should an organization proceed after an iconic figurehead leaves? Or departs?
I think
generally,
better.
You have to look outside the organization, and you have to go young. That's what the Steelers did with Cowher. That's what they did with Tomlin. And both Cowher and Tomlin got them a Super Bowl. Obviously, not as many as the 4 as Chuck Noll got them. But and when they got Chuck Noll was outside the organization. He was young, and he was, and until Chuck Noll, they were an absolutely hapless, completely. They're an organization that did not win.
I was going to say that the Steelers were a joke before them, and all of a sudden they become the superpower of the 70s in the NFL.
Thank you, Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Super Bowl twice.
Yeah,
and the steel curtain.
The steel curtain. Yeah, let's say it was more of that.
So you think they should go young? So that's essentially what Alabama and the Patriots have done with their. Well, I don't know how the new Alabama coach is. His name is Kalen DeBoer.
And
he's relatively young. He's definitely a lot younger than Saban.
Yeah, well, that's not a far there, but no, he's on the young side for a head coach, even in the college ranks.
So Michigan, I know now Jim Harbaugh is not exactly, on the same level as Belichick, Saban, and even Pete Carroll for that matter. You can argue Pete Carroll's not on the same level as the other two. But they have to. I mean, Michigan just won their championship after so many years.
Totally not by cheating.
Now they have to replace a pretty big name. What was that, John?
Totally not by cheating.
Totally not by cheating. Yeah.
Totally not by cheating at all.
That's right. You can cheat legally in the NFL.
It's just a matter of you get caught. Because apparently they really sucked at cheating.
I mean. I don't know if he's even going to be. I mean, I don't even know if the Chargers are going to be that good next year. I mean, Austin Eckler was a complete disappointment this season.
They could draft a running back.
I mean, they could. They could. I mean, they're not going to because Austin Eckler is one of the faces of the organization.
Did they sign him long term?
He's not Staley.
He's not Staley.
Not Staley.
I think that makes the Chargers fan base at least very happy.
I mean, they've made a lot of bad moves lately too. I mean, they signed J.C. Jackson to this huge contract, and then they just dump him back to the Patriots, which I find kind of funny. And
as much as the Bills are wasting Josh Allen, it really feels like the Chargers are wasting Herbert.
I mean, I think that Sean Payton says it, and when he benched Russ, even though the Russ benching had a little bit of the drama behind it, but coaches feel like this magic bullet for some teams, but Sean Payton said it when he benched Russ. I can't bench all the wide receivers. I can't bench the entire O-line. I can't change these big parts of these very expensive products, which are these teams that are put together with all these professional athletes doing all these very important jobs. So getting a new coach is one of those things that is really easy to do. And honestly, for a team that fails, firing a coach is another thing that's just really easy to do. But if you look at a team and to what Eric said, like the Dolphins, who definitely failed this year, but are fun to watch and exciting. Mike McDermott's really very interesting.
Mike
McDaniels. He's really very interesting. He was really cool
he's
on Hard Knocks.
Interesting coach in all sports,
fun.
I think.
I agree. He's so fun to watch. His attitude with his players is great. When they lost, his after speech was so heartwarming. Yeah. He cried. He's like, listen, we don't want to be here like this, but we have a lot of good things going on. So, I mean, I think an invested coach is a really important part.
No, you're absolutely right about that. And I find it interesting that Eric's point of view, young and outside of the organization. So the Patriots did one of those two things. So they now have the youngest head coach in the NFL, Gerard Mayo, but he was a former Patriot and has been a Patriot coach for the last, I think it's been 6 or 7 years. I forget how many it is. We mentioned this last week, I believe. I thought it was very smart for him to have a succession clause in that contract. So if Belichick were to leave, he automatically gets the head coach job. That's definitely something you don't hear all the time. That's what happened, yeah.
brilliant on his
But-
part.
Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, the reason I say outside of the organization, not just Young, is when you have that iconic coach, like you had Chuck Noll, you had a Bill Cowher. When you have that iconic, just they've been around, they're part of the furniture. What also happens is any ideas this new coach has that aren't part of that, especially as further and further you get from that base of what that iconic coach did, they have a lot of inertia fighting against them to do what they want to do. Whereas if you just go outside the organization, bring in a new staff, totally, no
Square
one's
one,
gonna
right? Yeah.
think too much about it.
It'll be certainly interesting to see what happens in New England and Alabama.
It was interesting to see like all the players that quickly left in the transfer portal from Alabama.
Like,
So yeah,
I mean, you go to Alabama to play with Nick Saban to get into the NFL. So what happens when Nick Saban leaves?
go to Georgia to play for Kirby Smart.
Go to Georgia, play for Kirby Smart. Exactly. Rock and roll. Except who knows if Stetson Bennett even plays next season. He didn't play one snap this year. Didn't even practice.
What team was he on?
He is a Ram.
So was he like on the practice squad the whole year?
He did not even play on the practice squad preseason. He was put on PUP and he never came back. And they said, we are supportive of Stenton and all his endeavors, but he has an issue and we're just going to let him do that. So there's some social thing going on. What do you say, Eric?
You're a 400-year-old rookie.
Yeah, 400-year-old rookie. Exactly. He's just going to get a little older, which is going to totally help. Totally and completely. All right, we're out of time. Out of time, you guys. Can I get a next topic, please? I have another cool topic for Eric.
Next topic.
Fuck yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
It's been a while since a guest has done one. All right. So we're going to keep it in Pennsylvania. So it turns out you need to be tall and strong to play center in the NBA. So this past... Amazing, right? Who would have thought? So this past week, Joel Embiid, the reigning MVP, dominated the paint, and poor, skinny Victor Wembanyama on Monday night, posting a career-high 70 points, 18 rebounds, and 5 assists. A huge night and scoring mark set a new 76ers record, passing Wilt Chamberlain in the process, which is incredible. So in
He did. He didn't.
Yeah, he scored more points. He definitely did.
Oh, he scored more than Wilt scored for the Sixers, not more than
Yes, for the
Wilt scored in
Sixers.
Philly.
Listen, bro.
Because when he scored the 100, he was on the Warriors.
Yes. Thank you for the insight. I appreciate the both of you. So, in a welcome to the NBA moment for the ages, I think the first clear answer is Wembanyama needs to bulk up. It isn't exactly the magic bullet that the last place 8-35 Spurs desperately needed. So, what are our thoughts about Embiid's performance, the state of the Spurs, and is this the year of the 76ers to finally beat the Red Hot Celtics?
Nope. Next question. So, what's kind of funny was when Embiid first came into the league, he was essentially in Wembanyama's position. He was the tall, skinny guy. He was hurt a lot too. Like when he was in Kansas, I don't think he really played all that much because he was hurt a lot. And then his first 2 years on the Sixers didn't play that much because he was hurt. He was skinny. Maybe not Wembanyama skinny, but he needed to bulk up. So his first few years, that's what he ultimately did. And yeah, now he's a beast. And essentially, and now it's funny to me the fact that they just kept pounding it down low to Embiid and during that game against Wembanyama. You'd think future Hall of Fame head coach of the Spurs would have done something to maybe change that, but
he tried.
I don't know.
He tried. He couldn't think of anything. That game, you watched that game, it was so sad. They're just like triple team.
Just double them all the time.
But they were double teaming them the whole game. They just couldn't figure it out. I don't know. I think that the NBA is really funny. I think that actually, to talk about my Knicks, the Knicks have learned that you need, just like Mark has been saying for a full year, you need more than one big man. So OG Anunoby, getting him this season has made the Knicks a real powerhouse. The Knicks destroyed what's-it-face Denver tonight. They beat them by like 40 points, like a really good team. So I think that power and to be able to just drop the ball down and drop the ball down and drop the ball down and get offensive rebounds. I mean, I think it's really important actually to have some guys that are just stronger than the other guys. So
I've said this before. I don't know if it's been on the show, but I mean, the NBA right now is going a resurgence with guards and just shooting nothing but 3-pointers. And the way I think to counteract that is you just get a large man, pound it down low, and essentially who's going to make like 70, 80, maybe even 90% of your 2-point buckets. That's still better than half of your 3-pointers. And if you can't defend that because you just have a bunch of skinny guys that, two of the Spurs like soaking wet probably still way less than Embiid because he's just a tank now.
Probably. What do you think about the 76ers this year, Eric?
Unfortunately, I have to agree with Mark that no, they're not going to beat the Celtics in the playoffs. The Sixers are not built for the playoffs.
No, they're not.
They're a great regular season team because Embiid is a fucking beast.
Mm-hmm.
You can only ride a single player so long in the playoffs, even as great as Embiid is. It's just not a sustainable model. They don't have enough talent around him to really do anything.
They have a good amount of talent, but they need more, right?
Yeah,
like Maxey is turning out to be a really good player. Tobias Harris is a really good role player.
I mean, the Eastern Conference in the NBA is really interesting right now.
A role player, but now he is just a role player. Right?
Yeah.
Maxey was pretty fine, but
yeah,
I don't think they have enough. You
need more depth. No, you need more depth. John, what were you saying?
I don't remember. Oh, no, I remember now.
Oh, no, yeah, the Eastern Conference is stacked.
Stacked.
The Eastern Conference is stacked. You have the Celtics
very
number
good.
one. This was breaking news that we didn't really we're not going to probably talk about, but we probably should talk about. The Bucks, who were the number 2 team, fired their head coach and replaced him with Doc Rivers. The second best team in the league decided they were going to fire their head coach.
Yeah, like halfway through the season.
They felt like that their team needed to be better, and the guy that they just hired last year. They have 2 extra head coaches on the payroll now that they just fired. One of them they won a title with 2 seasons ago, and the other one they gave him 43 games to try it
43 games.
And now they replace him with a very good coach in Doc Rivers. However, does not have the best playoff history.
He's also a very good basketball name, though. That's also very helpful.
By the way, he also went to Marquette, which is in Milwaukee. So people in Milwaukee know who he is. So it's kind of a sentimental favorite for him to be there as well. But I mean, do I think the Bucks are going to win the title with Doc Rivers now? No.
I think honestly, and because I'm a fanboy, but I mean, I think honestly, the state of the current Knicks makes me really excited to be a Knicks fan.
You just want to talk about the Knicks. They're not going to win anything.
They're winning everything. They're beating everybody. They're doing.
Maybe they'll win the Congeniality Award, but that's all.
OJ Anunoby is gonna slam dunk the ball in your face.
You tried.
That dude is awesome.
Probably. I'm short.
That dude is awesome. He's a 7-foot small forward who can shoot and rebound. I mean, that's the thing the Knicks were missing. And I was just talking to my brother, hey Peter, about this. The Knicks, at least now, really remind me of a version of a very...
They do not.
They rough and tumble, and they rebound, and they fight, and I think that they're very good. And I think that Jalen Brunson is amazing, and he got screwed not being in the All-Star game. Just saying. Not starting in the All-Star game. Sorry. I think we're going to leave it on that. Jalen Brunson's the best. We're at time. You guys have nothing to say.
I have nothing to add.
Rock and roll.
That's fine.
All right.
I had more to say, but we're trying to go a little long here.
It was good. was good right at the end.
Whose turn is it?
It's your turn.
All right. Pete, you got next topic?
Fucking love you guys.
Is Pete frozen with this? That
No, he's
beautiful
just
smile of
smiling.
his?
He's just really handsome. Oh, maybe it's frozen.
All right, ready?
Hey, I'm sorry about that next topic there, Mr. McGee.
Oh, good job, Pete. Good job.
So we're going political, people, but in the way that only if these balls could talk can do it. It was reported last week that robocalls were going out to a bunch of New Hampshire voters in light of the upcoming primary election. Now, the Attorney General for the granted state has launched an investigation into the matter. Interestingly enough, the number that showed up on these robocalls was the cell phone number of the former state Democratic Party chair. This is also just one example of the multiple deepfakes we've seen thus far with this upcoming presidential race, including DeSantis putting out a photo of Trump acting nice and chummy with Dr. Fauci, and an artist creating photos of politicians kissing a mistress. So, everyone, what sorts of consequences should there be for these robocalls in New Hampshire with AI Joe Biden telling people not to vote? And do the many attempts of deepfakes prove there needs to be some sort of regulation?
I think that we have a real inflection that at least the show has, and then probably a lot of other people, but we've been talking about for a while, where the difference between what you can do and what you should do in a political standpoint is going to be really come in question, right? I mean, I know the stuff that me, just an average guy, can generate from AI, and it's impressive. And so somebody with a payroll and a budget and professionals, I mean, it's really actually kind of frightening. It's the thing we were talking about a little earlier. I mean, once we can't tell what's real, how do we know? How do we know? I don't know. I'm scared. It's a really dark timeline that we live in right now.
Definitely the darkest timeline.
What do you think, Eric?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why you have to teach like critical evaluation skills. Know, and understand both history, understand the current stances of everyone. Like, find like the published platforms. Find like this is what they stand for.
But nobody's going to do that. No one. 5% of the population of the 5 million people that live in America.
One of the reasons no one's going to do it is because we don't teach those important skills.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we want to save our democracy for future generations, we have to start teaching people how to find.
I think I'm going to play devil's advocate on this though. Like, can we? Really? Can we?
You're right. It's hard, right? With it's hard to track these kind of stuff, right? But there's certain things that are happening that, again, the whole DeSantis campaign put out a smearing picture or set of pictures of Trump, and but he's not going to face any consequences for that. Why isn't that defamation of character, right? Trump loves to sue people, but the only reason why he's not going to is now DeSantis is in his back pocket.
I can't with that being a smear campaign. You know who Trump knows?
It's technically a smear.
He knows a doctor who likes to cure people from diseases.
All right. But you get my point, though, right? Like, someone can just create
smear campaign, which is a whole other issue.
Yeah, from their perspective, it's kind of a smear campaign. But still, anyone can create anything, and now people are just doing it blatantly. But again, what's the reason for them not to do it?
I mean, there's no reason not to do it. Trump 2020 or 2016 Trump proved to us that if you appealed to the lowest common denominator in America, you would be successful. And the thing that the Republican primary is seeing right now is the Trumpers are so powerful and so multitudinal that they can't even get a second word, and nobody gives a shit. Nobody in the whole Republican primary gives a shit. He's going to win every state for fun, and that's terrifying because he's literally a federal criminal. He's a traitor, and I mean, like, he's literally, like, if he was born in the 18th century, they would already have put him to death.
It's literally amazing the fact that after the Iowa caucus and the New Hampshire primary, there's only 2 candidates on the Republican ballot. That's kind of amazing.
And Nikki Haley's still there just because she's stubborn. She's not.
Yeah,
she's not quitting because she should quit. But she's not, but she should.
I feel like she's kind of playing. She's trying to be patient, doing the waiting game, because I think she thinks that eventually one of these trials for Trump is gonna, do something. I mean, we know that a lot of people are still gonna support Trump, regardless of what he does and what he says.
Well, and some will get
And I think
more, depending on if he gets convicted or more indictments come down.
Do you think she's
nothing's really going to hit before Super Tuesday anyway?
Do you think she's hanging to be the most logical candidate for VP?
No,
you don't. You don't think the Republicans would ever allow that? I think this is a smart choice for Trump, honestly.
Oh, I think it would be too, but I think he's going to pick Tim Scott.
I think Stefanik.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, especially, I mean, she's obviously campaigning hard for it.
Yeah.
She was like the 10th most bipartisan member of the House when she first joined the House, and now she's like the 110th most bipartisan.
I don't see Trump having a woman as his running mate, though. I really don't.
I mean, I see him doing that, though. I mean, he needs to ease out his base a little bit. Just like he needs to appeal to the thing that made him lose in 2020, if he ever has. I mean, the problem is that Biden is Biden, but I mean, if the Democrats get their shit together, he's not going to win again because he just seems like a monster. Because he's a monster.
Yeah, I think he has too much hubris and too much chauvinistic tendencies to have a woman running mate, and his crazy ass followers that he created, and now he's probably scared shitless of actually secretly, or at least has zero, he doesn't care about them at all, but they won't realize that. They wouldn't,
even if they're going to die in the cold in Iowa.
Right.
But like, he actually told them, it's like, you should die, so to vote for me.
Yeah, pretty much. Vote for me and die, please.
What a great way to go.
Yeah. But I mean, they won't support him with a female running mate is the problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's
They'll
probably
be like, that's going to ruin America. And then
I don't know. He's got some such blind loyalists that I think they're gonna they'll support maybe, regardless. Right. Just basically everything that I've seen from Trump, I just don't think he's gonna pick a woman running mate. I just don't.
And time. You guys are so good at journalism. I'm really impressed with you.
Do you like that? How I got politics and AI in a topic there, John?
That was good. Really good. Somebody give me a next topic. We're gonna keep it really serious. I'm very excited about this next question.
All right. Well, this next topic one is not serious at all, so maybe we shouldn't do it yet.
Do it.
Okay. Eric, you'll remember this one. Come on, shake a body, baby. Do next topic.
Gloria Estefan.
I love it, man. I love it. All right, so to keep it sort of where we're at, 3 Ivy League universities, along with several other top schools, have agreed to settle a case brought by a group alleging the institutions conspired to collectively consider how much financial aid to offer students, allegedly focusing on the wealthier ones. So the largest settlements were agreed by Columbia and Duke at $24 million each, as well as Brown, Yale, and Emory, and a prior settlement by the University of Chicago, and a pending one with Vanderbilt for a total of $118 million collected overall. So schools are mandated, obviously, to be need blind to adhere to that statute, and while schools are denying any wrongdoing and confirming they are settling to get the cases dismissed, it feels to me that they were caught taking advantage of loopholes in current laws. And so, in what seems to me to be a pretty egregious equity problem, do we think this is a practice from most, if not all, of colleges as well? How can we control schools' financial aid responsibilities to its students?
This is an interesting one.
Hell yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that's kind of wrong with our colleges, right? The fact that no one can really afford to go anymore. Everyone's coming back with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt, and for what? Like, are they getting their money's worth? I mean, I think all of us were complaining about our big college loans after when we went to Rensselaer. And can you imagine going there now? Do you guys know how much it is to go there now?
Is it in the 60s?
Yeah, it's more than
can't
twice
even
as
know.
much as what it was when we went there.
I can't even imagine. I mean, it almost doubled while we were there.
Yeah. Could any of us afford to go there if we went there
I
now?
can't afford shit,
No.
so it's fine. I can't afford anything. We're keeping humans alive here over here.
Yeah.
They're hungry and they like things. It's incredible how much they like. I bring it up this question because I really am very interested in the equity aspect of it. I think that for a school like Yale to kind of pick and choose its student body and try to save $1 by giving money to students that don't need the money to begin with.
That don't need it. Yeah.
Is a real problem. I mean, it's a real problem. Have you guys ever seen those equity memes where they're like, they have 100 people, and they line up on a field and they start asking them questions? Do you have a single mother? Do you have a single father? Did you go to high school? Did you go to college? Did you finish high school? Did you finish college? And every time you answer yes to a question, you get to step forward. And if you don't, obviously you don't. And then it's a running race, right? It's like after the running race, after where you're positioned after these 100 questions, like, do you feel like this is fair? And that's kind of the way that I like to explain to Jamie about equity. College, while being very important, isn't accessible for everyone. And
Nope.
It's really sad.
I mean, these are private organizations too.
Yeah, private organizations. I mean, you
In
talk
a lot of
about,
respects, they can do what they want, right?
right? They can do whatever they want. But like, if you went to Harvard and you went to the University of Samoa, you know, I mean, like, who am I going to pick to get a job, right? I mean, you just have a leg up.
Samoa's pretty nice.
That's the university. I forget it, but that's the university that Saul goes to in Better Call Saul. He gets an online law degree at the University of Samoa. But anyway,
weather's much
what do you
nicer.
guys think about that? I mean, like, as far as an equity problem in America right now.
Oh, it's a huge equity problem. I mean, the fact
Yeah, just add it on.
known for years that a lot of those prestige schools lean on their legacies.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ways that they kind of avoid and skirt some of those rules. Now we're finding that they're also using the financial aid in a very similar way. It's not surprising, unfortunately. But yeah, no, it's a huge issue because, like you said, if you get a resume of two different candidates and they seem equally qualified, and one is Harvard and one is some just random state school,
who are you gonna choose? And then the real unfortunate part from like a corporate perspective is, like, I get, for a job posting, even for shitty jobs, I'll get 50 to 100 resumes, right? And I don't have time to read through 50 to 100 resumes. And it's unfair, but it's true. I mean, so I'm looking for very specific things, and one of them is college, and because it has to be.
and also and you're getting 50 to 100. Those places that are getting thousands of resumes that are using AI to
Right.
pick out the resume.
Right.
One of the things that AI is going to be picking is those prestige schools. So
Unless you have a bias against that school. Believe it or not, there are some folks that will say, no, I refuse to pick someone from Harvard or Yale or Duke just because of a personal bias.
Who?
It does happen.
It does where?
it
happens.
especially on those large, really super ultra prestigious companies that are getting thousands of applications for a single open position. That's at the point of it's already a bunch of prestige kids at this point. So now we're just picking between Duke and Harvard and Yale, and we've already perpetuated the problem already at this point.
It's
We've already kicked out.
college acceptance
Uniform
season,
people,
and
so
in the age of college acceptance season in 2024, a lot
It is.
of smart kids are vlogging their acceptance letters. So Jamie has started to ask questions about how do you get into college, and we're just talking about it. It's really interesting because I'm like, so like some of these schools that they're showing,
She's so young, she doesn't have to worry about that
she's
yet.
not worried about it. She's just curious about everything. But like the
Tell her
conversation,
she needs to be a kid.
the conversation has turned into like, like there are a lot of smart people. And a lot of people who
Yeah.
were smart enough to, let's just Harvard as an example, go to Harvard. But they don't let everybody into Harvard because to go to Harvard, you have to be smart, but you also have to be special. Somehow special.
Or you have to have connections.
And so like,
we all know it's a lot about who you know and not what you know, right?
The world is that right now, unfortunately. But like, I think that makes for a really hard to handle situation where, like, again, we're talking about truth. Like, who knows what the truth is if a person who goes to Harvard deserves to be there? I don't know. Probably, but does it deserve to be there more than someone else? That wild.
This show is depressing me.
Well, you started it.
I did start it. It's my own goddamn fault.
I did the happy next topic thing in between me freezing off and on.
We got you, bro. We got you. It's all good. I'm sorry that your internet is being a bitch tonight.
It seems to be just Discord. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know, man. You need to get that router from Alan. Alan, I know you're not listening, but Pete needs a router.
Yeah, help.
He lives like 2 miles away. Just come over if you're listening live. Pete needs one really bad.
Yeah.
All right, next topic. Let's do it.
Next topic.
That's fine.
So Caitlin Clark of the University of Iowa just recently celebrated her 22nd birthday. Happy birthday. And when I had heard this, I had also heard that she has made over $800,000 in endorsements, which, believe it or not, would be 10 times more than what she would make in the WNBA in her first year. Now, while rookies are capped at a certain amount, the veterans also have a cap at almost $235,000. Meanwhile, Steph Curry, who's actually playing right now, makes close to $52 million.
$52 million.
That, math majors, is more than 220 times the max for the Lady Hoopsters. So, while it's discouraging to hear that these mismatch in basketball salaries, it is encouraging to hear that many of these ladies are taking full advantage of their position with these NIL deals. So, everyone, could these NIL deals for female athletes ultimately help increase their salaries for the sports leagues they play in?
I mean, I don't think the WNBA could ever afford to pay them a Steph Curry level of money because it's about it's about sponsorship and coverage and like all these things that the NBA has, that WNBA has, or that the NFL has, the NHL doesn't have. And it's just about the amount of money that they make. However, here's the cool thing: NIL and just like brand sponsorship is being very woman focused. Nike has a bunch of deals with a lot of college athletes. I think that is where they're going to make their money. Just like being social media faces and voices for active athletes and female athletes in the world. I think that is a really cool thing that NIL is developing, and really specifically in the female market.
Could you so I did a little research on this. Caitlin Clark, according to on3.com, is actually the 5th highest paid athlete with regards to NIL deals. Do you know who number 1 is?
No.
Or do you have a guess who number 1 is?
Tell us.
What's that, Eric?
Is it still that LSU gymnast?
Yes, it is. Livy Dunn. Funny enough, the top 3 female athletes all from LSU. But Livy Dunn is number 1, and she's a female gymnast with over 12 million followers on social media. And her NIL evaluation is $3.5 million. Angel Reese is number 2 at 1.7. And there's another Louisiana LSU sophomore. God, I'm going to mispronounce her name. I believe it's Flauge Johnson. I apologize.
Well, what's really interesting, too, this is the Cavender twins are just okay at basketball, but they made $2 million last year.
They did. In fact, Haley Cavender is number 4 on this list. I don't know why the other Cavender's not on this list.
She's worse at basketball.
Okay.
And also, she's now at TCU.
Yeah, that's true.
So she's in a position that she's not getting nearly as much exposure as she was at Miami.
Right. Paige Beckers, who is a senior at UConn, is number 6 on this list. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I will say this. WNBA salaries have gone up. I believe they've more than doubled since the inception of the league, which is nice.
Well,
but more exposure, the more people start going to games and watching games, and more revenue for the league.
No, and I think the WNBA is about to get, if it's not this coming because of extra year of COVID eligibility, if it doesn't happen this year in this coming draft, this draft, between this draft and the next draft, the talent that is going to jump into the WNBA is ridiculous because you have Clark, you have Beckers, you have Cameron Brink from Stanford, and these are all super talented players, and also ones who know how to leverage their social media platforms. They're all very smart, very talented marketers. And they're kind of following in the steps of Sabrina Ionesco from
That's true. Good point.
Oregon. And that also proves that, yes, NIL gets them a lot of money and more than their WNBA salary, but they can move on to the WNBA, carry all those endorsements with them.
Mm-hmm.
They already have that pre-existing relationship at this point. And now that they get, now obviously when you're Caitlin Clark, because you're just doing ridiculous things on the basketball court, you're getting national coverage. Or if you're a national brand like LSU or UConn when it comes to women's basketball.
And I hope that ESPN, so Caitlin Clark could potentially break the all-time scoring record within the NCAA. So I hope ESPN starts to do more and more national coverage of her doing that. So they're going to start, they're already starting to broadcast the games. But I hope that it's because, like we were kind of saying about the news media, right? I hope that it becomes a breaking news segment when she's about to break the record, and that kind of all these platforms just kind of start showing the game, because I think it's something that they need to put a little bit more marketing and attention on, because it is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I think that, yes, it will help WNBA exposure. Again, this glut of talent that's about to hit the WNBA is going to be amazing for it. And it's not just a lot of talent, because there's already a lot of talent in the WNBA.
Yeah.
But a lot of the older talent in the WNBA, they weren't savvy to social media. Like, they've joined social media since. They weren't part of the social media generation that is now about to join the WNBA. And so it's going to increase the exposure. Game attendance will go up, because right now that's one of the big things for WNBA, because they don't have the big TV deals yet. Ticket sales is one of the big revenue generators. So you get more people in the gates, you're going to generate more revenue. You're going to have more room for.
I think that was proven by the WNBA finals this year, and the Las Vegas Aces and the New York Liberty, who probably have the two super teams, the two highest paid rosters, and they were the best teams. Yep. I mean, like, the Aces have been stacked for a while now, but the Aces are stacked.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I also think that the exposure, because I think I would almost postulate, right, that the NCAA Women's League has more national TV exposure than the WNBA. But I think that their actual basketball playing exposure is almost secondary to their social media exposure. These are like beautiful, talented, athletic women that are also doing a cool thing, but that's just the reason they get to be on Instagram and TikTok. I mean, they could be doing almost anything and being as good of marketers that they are. And that's one of the reasons that they're making the kind of money that they are, because they have 12 million followers, the Cavender twins, and they have a cool gimmick and they have 8 million followers. I mean, just like, it's about the whole picture for them, and maybe less for the men, which is unfair, but I think that they're also doing socials much, much better. I don't think that Steph Curry's social is as highly maintained as, say, Caitlin Clark's social. I don't think it is.
Well, I don't know. These big professional athletes now have teams to do their social media for them, because they can afford to as well.
Sure.
Because, I mean, Tom Brady puts out some of the best stuff on social media, but he's certainly not posting that himself.
Right. Well, and that's what we talked about before. Originality and interesting content, and we are at time. And Mark, is this it? Are we there? Did we make it? Come on, Eric, do it.
Well, Eric, I think you should actually do this. Come on, you
Do it,
you
Eric.
sing it.
Oh no, we missed it.
Oh, you gotta do it again. You gotta do it again. We can't hear you. You gotta sing it a little closer.
Yes. Yes.
Rock on.
All right. So unfortunately, I was going to do a hockey topic, but Pete's not here, so we're going to skip the hockey topic because I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So the more
And I had some things to say on that one.
I know. So because me specifically, I wouldn't be able to talk about the hockey topic. So we're going to stay with depressing. This week, Sports Illustrated announced a significant cut in its workforce after its parent company.
Oh, significant cut.
Publishing license was revoked. The Arena Group, the the parent company, which has operated SI since 2019, failed to meet its quarterly license fee. And while many employees were laid off, the entire staff did not receive termination notices. Arena Group states that it still plans to operate SI, but the previous owner, Authentic Brands Group, also announced its commitment to ensuring the continuity of the revered sports app publication. So, is it possible that the end of Sports Illustrated is a precursor to the death of print media and journalism? Or do we think SI's downfall is just a case of a company that was run poorly and taken advantage of by a parent company that didn't care about it and more cared about the bottom line?
I think it was probably a little bit of both. I mean, we definitely have been seeing the ultimate decline in print media. I mean, more and more magazines have been going out of business or just doing digital only newspapers. I mean, when was the last time you saw someone reading a newspaper?
Yeah.
I mean, I still have the Providence Journal near me. You guys have the Times Union, right?
I mean, the Times
People
Union, but
in
I
the
mean,
Albany area.
I think that the metaphor for Sports Illustrated is more like the New York Times. Like, I think that it is a big publication, and the reason it's news is because wow, they just fired almost everyone because no
They
one
fired almost everyone. Was it? How many people was it? Did you see that?
I didn't look it up.
Wasn't it in the? No, it wasn't that many.
Did you say the millions, you wild person?
I was gonna say the word number 2 million came in. Is like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. But it was a significant portion, right? It was like half.
33%, more than 100 people.
33%. Okay,
More than 100 people,
That's
which is a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And didn't the LA Times just like fire half their newsroom too?
Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
I mean, it's kind of sad, right?
Well, we had our friend Rick on, and Rick, hey Rick, if you're listening, said that it really is hard to make long form journalistic articles because A, good journalists are expensive, and B, most of the stuff can just be done with AI. And also, like, how many people sit down and read anything anymore? Really? Which is really
My
sad.
parents still have a newspaper subscription.
Yeah, but even your parents, how many people, like my parents don't read newspapers? Like how many people sit down and read a newspaper?
My parents still read a newspaper.
Or buy a
Every day.
magazine. I mean, that's, I think, the unfortunate part is
I don't know anyone aside from doctors' offices that have magazines.
The magazine, like Sports Illustrated. I don't know. I just don't know. This was wild news for me, man.
The only time I've ever seen a Sports Illustrated now is at my dentist's office. And usually those are like 2 months old.
At your dentist's office. That sucks, man. I'm sorry.
No, but print media is going away, unfortunately, and there's a lot of loss that we're losing in terms of true, good local investigative journalism.
There's no good investigate. Yeah, we've talked it over with Jeffem. There's like no one is doing investigative journalism anymore.
But because we're losing that, and now big print media is going away. This, again, in terms of depressing, this allows the fake content generators to fill that void quite easily.
They already are, right?
Yeah, they already are, but it gives them even more opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Painful.
Think about this, though. So while print media seems to be almost extinct, people are still buying books, hardcover books, and paperback books.
I think, though, fictional, like, entertainment reading is a different thing. And it's a different thing for the people who really like it. Like, you read fiction to decompress, to relax. You read fiction because some people like the smell of books. You read fiction because sometimes, and you buy books because sometimes, like, I'm a big believer because I'm just trying to declutter in my Kindle, but, like, some people don't really like that. Like Stephanie. Hey, Steph. Stephanie doesn't believe in her Kindle. You know, Stephanie likes her books. Melanie, well, she was not working, but Melanie really liked to read. We have 2 bookshelves in our house now, from none, 2 filled bookshelves. I mean, like, I just think that the problem, I think, for us as a society is once journalism becomes A, unreliable, and B, maybe even non-existent, I think that the real question is what we said, like, how do we know? How do we know what the truth is? This should be the title of the episode, by the way. Balls of Truth.
That's probably what it is.
It's probably what it is, right? I just thought of that.
I'm so sad after this show.
It's really a very depressing episode. I still
Maybe it should be depressing as balls.
Maybe. What were you gonna say, Eric? We got time left, so.
Oh, well, I mean, if we did the hockey topic, it wasn't going to get any better because of the elephant in the room right now when it comes to hockey. Did you hear that news?
No, tell us.
So so I heard it on the early end because the starting goaltender for the Flyers, Carter Hart, took a leave of absence for personal reasons. And so my local newspaper, I don't have a print copy, but I have online subscription. They're like, hey, Carter Hart's taking this leave of absence. Like 2 hours later, ESPN broke a story that like 6 or 7 NHL players who are all on the World Junior team from Canada 2018 are taking absences from their teams while there's an investigation for sexual assault.
Sexual assault. I did hear about this.
That sucks.
And in terms of prospecting, that's one of the things you really have to investigate.
Well, and I mean, the whole junior team, right? So that's all these up-and-comers and big players. I'm going to save this topic, everyone who's listening, but we are going to talk about Olin Zellweger next week. So, because that's really interesting. He's a very interesting player. And actually, the Ducks are really kind of cool to watch that they're bringing him up. I really am excited by that. Anyway, I think we are good.
I'm so depressed.
Aw, I'm sorry, Mark. It was a good show and short. Tight.
All right, John, you ready?
I'm not ready because the music's not even going to come on because media players, but we're going to figure it out. You go. I'm going to press the button when I think I need to.
So that has been our topics, and like I said, I'm depressed as fuck right now. But we'd still like to thank our guest for joining us this week. Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Please subscribe to us by tickling that little bell or follow or like us on our socials at If These Balls Pod on X, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and TikTok. Our website is www.iftheseballscouldtalkpod.com. This is Mark Pesci, and for my partner John Campagna and producer Pete Steffen, who's apparently missing, that's what we feel they would say if these balls could talk. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
So sad.
Womp, 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 womp. And we are.
I've never been more depressed after a show. We just kept